So, what I want to talk to you about today as you are starting to work on your literature review chapters is analysis and synthesis. So these are two really important components that as examiners we're all going to be looking for in the chapters that you submit to us. And I suppose I just want to highlight to you the importance of these two elements to make sure that you're engaging in your literature review. Because sometimes we find that students can be quite descriptive and in those cases we can see that they understand the main concepts that they're talking about, but they're not digging any deeper than that. And so that's what I want to talk to you about, to make sure you're aware of what synthesis and analysis are and how you engage in them. So let's talk about synthesis first of all. Well, in synthesis, what you're doing is you're putting things together. And so you're reading a lot of literature around your chosen topic. But now you've got to stop, take a breath and think, okay, so how do I connect all of these things together? A descriptive piece is just going to outline to us what all the pieces of journals that you've read, articles I've read, have told you. But you need to add more into it in order for it to engage in synthesis and analysis. So what I suggest you might do here is think about themes. So think about, when you've read everything, are there particular themes or topics that people are talking about that will become your headings in your literature review chapter? And then what you want to do is to use the literature you've been reading, merge them together to make your key arguments. What you want to do is use the literature and your references to support your argument. You want to ask yourself, are there authors saying different things so that I want to set them up as contrasts against each other? Or is one person saying something and then the next person is adding to it and developing the thinking in that area more? And so in this way, what we should see is where you write and you weave your references in to support your argument and to develop your point. Sometimes people might say, well, how do I know that I'm doing that? So there's two things I would say that if you see it in your writing, then that means you're not synthesizing. The first one is if you're writing a full paragraph and it's only referring to one journal article. That's not synthesizing because you're not putting anything together, so don't do that. Also, it's not okay for you to write one paragraph about one piece and then the second paragraph about another article. Again, you're not blending them together. You're not doing any work for us in terms of tying issues together, identifying themes, or synthesizing. The second way in which I see people who aren't synthesizing and aren't really engaging with the literature is that they write a section and then they stick a reference at the end. And this really shows us, I suppose, somebody who has gone in and implanted references within their work rather than using the references in the literature to formulate their thinking and their arguments. So that's synthesis. In terms of analysis then, I would really say analysis is all about teasing out issues, digging deeply into issues. So what you're doing at this level of writing and in a literature review for a dissertation chapter is you are dealing with complex issues. So sometimes, again, the mistake I might see here is somebody who maybe hasn't done a lot of reading and starts by giving me an introduction to a definition about what is the event industry or what is the tourism industry or tourism in Ireland. And really there's no place for that in your literature review. You can assume that we understand those basic definitions. You want to use your word count to really get into relevant issues and explore them in depth. And that's really when we talk about analysis, what you need to think about is, am I deeply digging into this issue? Am I totally mining it rather than just describing it? A good way for you to do that is to ask questions all the time. So whatever it is your topic is you're talking about, or if you're writing about an article, for example, or a point or a theme, is to ask yourself questions like, how is that true? Who is the person who was responsible for this? When did it happen? Could we look at this from a different perspective? And by asking yourself all of these questions and answering them within your text, what you're doing is you're digging deep. And this isn't something that's easy to do. It is hard and it is challenging, but it's really important for you to make sure that that is happening within your chapter. Because that is the real difference between a piece of work that's descriptive, that's going to get a mark in the 50s, and a piece that's really engaging with the literature and analysing and synthesising, that's going to be a mark in the 2-1 or first category. So I'd urge you, when you're writing your literature reviews, to keep this in your mind rather than being focused about, well, I just need to get the points down. Be challenging yourself to be sure that you are engaging in the level of work that's required for a literature review. See you next time.